Hey everyone, this is Nick DeRobertis teaching you financial modeling. And today we're going to be solving the lab exercise on adding internal randomness to the Project 1 Python and Excel models. This is part of our lecture series on probabilistic modeling. So we reached the end of the internal randomness material. I had already added the internal randomness to the dynamic salary retirement model in Python and Excel. And here we're looking at adding it to the Project 1 model. And all we're doing is randomizing the interest rate, going to be drawing that from a normal distribution. And we should be able to see the NPV changing each time that we run the model. So let's look at doing this in Excel first. And we have the time value of money inputs here. So let's go ahead and add additional inputs. Now we're going to have the interest rate mean and the interest rate standard deviation. And we said 4% mean, 3% standard deviation. So since all we're doing here is randomizing an input, it's as simple as just replacing what we have in the hard-coded input here with the randomized value. So we can do the norm.imv function of rand, the same pattern that we've seen for drawing continuous random variables from normal distributions in Excel, pass the mean and standard deviation. And there we go. Now, as we recalculate the model, we get different interest rates. And we should see the NPV changing as a result as well, which we do. When the interest rate is higher, then we're seeing a lower net present value because we're discounting those cash flows more. So everything looks good here. Now let's come over to the Python side. And in Python, there is a way that we could modify the inputs of the model to do exactly what we did in Excel and not have to change any of the model logic. But it does get to be using some features of Python that we are not covering in the course. So instead, we'll look at just actually modifying the logic of the model to calculate the interest rate, drawing it from the random normal distribution. So we're going to need the random module for sure. We can import random, and we can go and add the interest mean and the interest standard deviation as inputs here. And we can remove the interest input. So now I'm just going to restart kernel and run all cells, and ultimately there's going to be an error in here somewhere because it's not going to have that interest input anymore. So I'm going to go to the NPV section because I know that's where it is. We can see it's having an error, no attribute interest. And all we have to do is now draw that interest from a normal distribution. So if we do random dot normal variate, and we give it our mean and standard deviation, interest mean, interest standard deviation, then we're able to get random interest rates from that. So we can just bring that into here. Interest equals, put this back at data instead of model data. And then use interest here instead of data.interest. And then when we restart and run all again, then we should see that this starts working appropriately, which it does. And we should also see that as we run this, we get different NPVs as an output, which we are. So it looks like everything is working appropriately. So that covers adding a random interest rate, internal randomness, into the Project 1 Python and Excel models. Thanks for listening, and see you next time.